It is not simply perishable, but essentially evanescent, and it is sensed as evanescent. When I pronounce the word permanence, by the time I get to the nence, the perma is gone and has to be gone.
The personal slate reflects Ong's notion of the non-permanence of sound in an oral-based culture. They are similar because the slate must be erased, leaving nothing or no record of the written word. The existence of sound, once stopped, is similar to that of the slate once erased.
Although personal notebooks were seen as the replacement for writing slates in education, both made valuable contributions to education. Both technologies have made advances that are seen and used in classrooms across the country, while some are returning, albeit with improvements and modernization. This video documentary will document the shift from rote to note in education and demonstrate how technology continues to go full circle, where old can be considered new again.
These were medieval PDA basically. They were wax tablets, usually carved ivory. Covers were usually religious scenes or such. Pages are filled with blackened wax. You can write, you can say hi, play tic-tac-toe, whatever. Then you flip the stylus over and you just rub it to erase and start over.
When did they start making them?
Wood ones date back clear to the Romans and back into the early BCs. Yeah, multiple pages. The ivory ones started about that I know of 1200s, late 1100s, early 1200s.
Simply amazing.
Thank you. And tooled leather cases to carry them so they stay out of the weather, don't get destroyed.
In its pure form, slate is a fine-grained, foliated metamorphic rock that is created by the alteration of shale or mudstone. According to Davies, slate is known to be a durable rock that comes in a variety of colors. Slate is a well-known building material as well as a writing tool, dating back to use in the 14th century. However, later in the 18th century is when it became more commonly used for teaching and learning directly. Writing slates came in a variety of sizes, ranging from 5 by 7 to 8 by 12 inches. The personal slate was typically surrounded by a framing material to protect a student's fingers. The layout of the personal slate could be created with lines, squares, or left blank. This would be beneficial for specific activities like music, writing, drawing, or arithmetic. Pencils made of a softer slate were used to scratch on the harder slate surface to complete daily exercises. When more space was needed, the slate was wiped clean with a rag or sponge.
During the late 18th and early 19th centuries, students had chores before and after school to help contribute to the survival of the family. Attendance at school was low, especially when household contributions took precedence and the weather was bad or the children were sick. Society regarded individuals as knowledgeable and productive if they had useful skill sets. These skill sets were developed through rote learning and working on the family farm. Culturally, there was no need for deeper learning or reflection. Therefore, rote learning was sufficient for the needs of everyday life. The functionality of the personal slate did not allow for higher order thinking and could not accommodate activities involving synthesizing or analyzing. Therefore, the skills learned at school ranked low on Bloom's taxonomy. Financially, during the early 19th century, limitations existed for many. Paper and pencils were around, but expensive and difficult to access. Due to the cost of paper, slates were beneficial because they could be reused over and over again. Eventually, parents started noticing unnecessary wear on their children's sleeves because they would use their sleeves to wipe the slate clean.
Teaching styles used to be based on using drills and memorization to get the knowledge across. This was the ideal situation for the slate. Students could erase and keep practicing until they improved to perfection. Rote learning didn't allow for deeper learning, only recitation for oral testing. Mathematical tables were written out and studied using rote memorization. Cursive writing and spelling were practiced, and teachers walked around the room and checked student work for formation and accuracy.
A common cliche we hear today, wiping the slate clean, can easily be traced back to the days of the personal slate. This can be an action that can motivate a student to try again with confidence because there is no record of the previous attempt. It can boost his or her ability to improve.
Slates only offered a limited amount of space to be utilized for the current question or problem, so a student's work had to be planned accordingly. Slates did not lend themselves to collecting homework or keeping a record of student work to use as a comparison to show improvement over time. Once the work was erased, there was no opportunity to retrieve it. With the invention of the printing press in the 15th century by Johannes Gutenberg came the greater prevalence and accessibility of knowledge. The greater importance that was now placed on knowledge prompted the need for more of the population to develop and acquire literacy and analytical skills. While the personal slate was still used in the classroom late into the 19th century, the introduction of the personal notebook started to emerge. This emergence can be contributed to a number of things, such as the mechanization of paper, larger and more established schools, and the overall decrease in cost.
Another large contributing factor is the overall evolution of needs in education. With advancements in technology and changes in student and teacher needs, improvements started to be seen in the classroom. The personal writing slate was beneficial during its time. However, the personal notebook could offer that much more. Like all new technologies introduced into the classroom, the emergence of the personal notebook met the cultural needs of society. As notebooks became an everyday technology, the lives of individuals changed. With the introduction of the notebook came an overall change in the formalities of education. As the needs of society changed, so too did what and how students were learning. Students were no longer getting an education to work on the family farm. They were getting jobs elsewhere that would require a different set of skills. With the establishment of larger schools and greater permanency, students were acquiring an education that would meet the current cultural needs.
With the introduction of the personal notebook came many changes. Now that students had access to their own personal notebooks, they could write down their work without the worry of running out of space or erasing it. The recorded work is kept and would afford students the opportunity to reflect on their work. The act of reflection takes the learning process to the next level as students take their original thoughts, add in new information, and synthesize it to come to a new level of understanding. Students are better able to work through and develop their own understanding by making various connections and analyzing their work, thus contributing to deeper, more meaningful learning thanks to the personal notebook.
The use of the notebook changed the overall look of the classroom in terms of teaching and learning. With the use of the notebook, teaching styles changed because the focus was no longer on rote memorization and repetition. The notebook allowed for more freedom, creativity, and flexibility in the classroom. The tasks that students worked on were no longer confined to the writing slate, as technology is largely determined by the structure of the technology itself. That is, that its functions follow from its form. Students had more room to work, compare, and collaborate with peers, improving the overall skill acquisition process. Writing in a notebook also encouraged students to become more conscientious about how their work was organized and laid out. Students now had to listen to the teacher and plan how to execute their ideas. The change in teaching style promoted a change in lesson delivery. Students were now encouraged to take notes in the classroom. The teacher would provide information orally, and the students would use their notebook to record the information. Rote documents that literacy is the realization that language can have a visual as well as an oral dimension, that one's words can be recorded and shown to others who are not present. The act of note-taking has multiple purposes, including to record information and to aid in reflection. This builds up a stable external memory and frees up more working memory, allowing a person to work on more complex problems. Note-taking is an effective information processing tool that can help make judgments and decisions and resolve issues or problems.
Like most things, technology included, we see items reappear decades later. Over time, the transition from the personal slate to the personal notebook was based on societal and cultural needs. This cycle continues and is perpetuated by the current needs in society and education. Remnants of the personal slate can be seen in many modern technologies, such as the iPad or tablet, which are aesthetically modeled after the personal slate, albeit with vast advancements.
A current trend in education that is making its way back is the idea of students using a non-permanent writing surface to collaborate with peers and problem solve. The non-permanent writing surface offers the same benefits the personal slate did, as students are able to erase wrong answers and quickly move on to the next task without worrying about mistakes made. The concept of using the non-permanent writing surface demonstrates the cyclical nature of technology and the value that past technologies can carry.